Right. So thank you everybody for joining us, especially at a bit of short notice. And thank you for taking the time out of your day to be here with us. The way the session is going to run, is we're going to be talking about the program, talking a bit about the industry first, and all the job opportunities in the industry and the projected growth. It's a very fast growing industry. So what's to come, basically. Um, then at the end, there's going to be a Q&A. So please, if you have any questions, put them in the chat box, or raise your hand. Yeah, so we'll keep the Q&A at the end over there. Perfect. So today I'm joined by Jeanette, who is our organizational development specialist with Green Tech Skillnet, Wayne Dempsey, who is the field support and wind turbine safety rules authorizing engineer at Vestas, and Declan Corrigan, who is the business and technical director at Wind Turbine Engineering. So just to give a bit of overview of what the program is. So the program was developed in partnership with Skillnet Ireland and is funded by Skillnet Ireland, but it was also developed in partnership with Wind Energy Ireland and its members. The program is a training and work placement program. So essentially there is approximately 4 weeks of training involved. 1 week is done online from the comfort of your own home. And this covers areas like CV and competency interviews, the effective communication in the workplace, interpersonal skills. There's a module on basic computer skills, such as Microsoft Office. So you'd have Word, Excel, that type of stuff, and report writing in it. And turbine awareness training, which is delivered by Declan. Declan will go a bit more into detail on that later. As I mentioned, that's done from the comfort of your own home, so you don't have to go anywhere for that. Then there's approximately 3 weeks of training that's done in person, and this is at the moment done at the Renewables Academy Training Centre, which is in Wexford, and this covers this is a globally certified course. So it's certified by the Global Wind Organization, and the training at Renewables Academy in Wexford that will cover areas like basic safety training, basic technical training. These are the certifications, the modules that you need to have in order to become a certified wind turbine technician. So as I mentioned, there's basic safety training, there's basic technical training, there's advanced rescue, wind turbine safety rules, there's slinger signaler, but within that you have like first aid. Within the safety training you have first aid, manual handling, all that. And then once you have successfully completed the course and you've gotten your certification, you go on to do a work placement with a host company. The duration of the work placement can differ depending on the company. Generally, it's a minimum of 6 weeks, but there have been instances where it's been much longer than that. The work placement was designed to give the participants, the trainees, first-hand experience working on the field as a turbine technician, as a field technician, but also to give you the opportunity to meet people in the industry, to grow your network, to make connections, as well as showcase your skills, grow your chances of getting employed in this industry. Jeanette will touch more on how this program came to be, if you are there, Jeanette.
I sure am, Letty.
Yeah.
Hi everybody. This program came to be in 2019. Declan Corrigan was and Donal from Renewables were instrumental. It was in very high COVID times where you couldn't go 2 kilometers but we got funding from Skillnet Ireland to transition people into the industry. We developed 3 programs. We've developed the Work in Wind, which is a graduate program. We developed an NZEB and BER course, and we also developed the wind turbine technician course. So we got together, we looked at areas that would get people into the industry quickly. We weren't looking long term at that time because it was there were so many people unemployed. It was what could be a short-term measure. So those guys had to get travel passes and COVID tests every week, and the whole lot. They were the first. They were the first cohort, but the program has come on an awful lot. We've added a lot of modules, and I'll just share. We've partnered with the Global Wind Organization, as Letty was saying, with their framework, which gives a very clear idea of where you can go. It tells you where you can go in the industry and where you can go, whether that be in pre-assembly, so in building the wind farms, in installations, or in operations. So also, as Letty was saying, the need for talent is astronomical in the business, for all kinds of talent, from HR to engineers to wind turbine technicians. So a personal opinion on it from me would be it's an amazing time to get into the industry, and it would be a fantastic time to rise very quickly in the industry. Am I right there, Wayne, or I see past participants that are already team leaders.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right, Jeanette. Yes.
So yeah, it's been a fantastic program. It's been a great success for the participants, for us, and for Skillnet Ireland.
Yeah, just wanted to mention the program went on to be awarded the best what was it, the best
talent
development
initiative.
Best talent, yeah, something like that, talent initiative from the what was formerly known as the IITD and is now the Learning and Development Institute. So we have come a long ways in the past 3 years or so with the program, but with the increased development of wind farms onshore and hopefully offshore soon enough, the need for field technicians is growing, will be growing, and it's projected that it will at least double for onshore, and maybe even more than that once offshore comes in. But Wayne and Declan would be more equipped to answer that question, I suppose.
The training is very comprehensive. It's worth about €5,000. If you combine all the training together. So it's a really good, if you are interested in this, it's a really good opportunity. Okay, thanks, Letty.
No problem, Jeanette. Wayne, if you want to come in and give a bit of an overview of the industry, Vestas itself, and what's going on over there, what the job market is looking now and in the future.
Yeah, so I suppose, yeah, it was never a better time to get in the industry of what we are at the moment. The government have set fairly ambitious targets for renewable energy. So we're experiencing a massive boom in growth, both in new farms, but also all these wind turbines are coming with a 25 and a 30-year life, and a lot of the new contracts, the service life for them, they're being sold with lifetime contracts for the turbines. So I don't know, there's many people on the call know about Vestas, but we are probably the industry, the global partner on sustainable energy solutions across the globe. We have 28,000 employees. We have 55,000 turbines under service contract, with 85,000 turbines installed, and Vestas revenue for 2022 was 14.5 billion. So we've headquarters and locations all over the world, both for our global headquarters in Denmark. We've sales and service, we've production and research. So in Ireland then, we're 30 years in Ireland. We've 1.2 gigawatts of power installed. In turbines, we've 980 megawatts in service contract and 180 megawatts constructed in 2022, and we've 90 people employed. In construction, just to give you an idea of how fast we're growing, in construction, we constructed 178 megawatts in 2022. That was on 5 wind farms, Clahervaddy, which is in Donegal, Cloncreen, Offaly, Lachine Tree, which was in Tipperary, Clahan was in Offaly, and Taggart was near Cavan, Mead. We've 215 megawatts going into construction both this year and next year. So we've Clahervaddy 3, Linnalee in Donegal, Cushling and Derrylock in Offaly as well. So so the typical service technician tasks in the turbine, just to give you an idea. So the annual schedule works on a turbine. An annual service would take up to 3 days for 3 technicians to complete. On top of that, then we'd have HV, switchgear and transformer inspections, probably a half a day per turbine. We'd have statutory turbine anchor points and lifting equipment inspections, which would have to be done once a year, so that's a quarter of a day per turbine. And we'd have the lift inspection as well, so that needs to be done every 6 months. So that, again, quarter of a day for turbines. And blade inspections. So a lot of our blade inspections are done with drones these days, and they're controlled. The technicians control them on the ground. We send up a drone, we create a report. If we see much damage, then we go back for further inspection through MUPA rope access. Other turbine works then that the service technicians would be involved in would be, we obviously look after turbine faults and troubleshootings. We have what we call SimCase or turbine upgrades, which are constantly be done on the fleets. And if we find issues with some of our older platforms, we'd introduce upgrades for them. We'd have software updates to improve production and reliability. We'd have blade repairs, and we'd have main component repair and replacement. So there's many aspects to the job of a technician. And like, for example, blade repairs, we'd have a lot of crews that would work on blade repairs during the summers and during the summer, and they would come back then and join the service team for standard maintenance during the winter. So there's quite a variety in the job of service technician. So in Ireland, in service operations, we have service-based locations. We have 2 in the north, which is Limavady and Enniskillen. We have 2 in the northwest, Derrybrien and Carrigan-Shannon, with another one opening in Letterkenny and Donegal in May 2023. In the Midlands in Ireland, we have Thurles, and we're opening a new one in Edenderry due to growth there in July 2023. And in Ireland South, we have 2 service bases in Castleisland and Killarney. So our main wind farms, you can see just from the map here that, yeah, we're literally not so much the east of the country, but definitely southwest and all up along the west coast and into the north. So in the mid, we have Cloncreen, Cloughan, Taggart, Capwhite, Moneypoint, 3 farms in Lachine and Derrybrien. Down south, the main farms for us, Vestas, will be KMC, Drumdevine, Glenrudry, Kilgarvan and Boggara. And then the north, we'd have Eva Dunmore, Garves and Slieve Rushen, and northwest, which would be mainly Donegal and Sligo, Carrigan-Shannon, with Guiador, Clahervaddy, Derrybrien, Tullynahawn, Garvaghlebe. So you can see there's wind farms all over. They vary at different stages of life. So we'd have brand new turbines such as Cloncreen, which were installed last year, and some of our turbines that we're servicing are 24 and 25 years old. So there's quite a long maintenance life in them. Just to give a quick idea on the growth of the turbines, since they started. So in 1979, Vestas produced their first turbine, which was a V10. So it was the V10 in Vestas stands for the rotor size. So we had a 10-meter rotor, and it was producing 30 kilowatts. And you can see for our offshore brand then, we are now producing a 236-meter rotor and 15 megawatts output. So you can see the growth of the turbine. Technology has been growing, and they've been getting big over the years and getting more efficient. So, yeah, it's really an exciting industry to be in. The technology is growing all the time. So that's all for me, and we can take your questions probably towards the end. I know Declan has that.
Perfect. Thank you, Wayne. It's all very fascinating. Went up actually a year ago, went up the Turbine at the training academy where the training takes place for this program, and it's only a 20-meter turbine, but that's where I realized it's absolutely not for me. And I really admire the people who can go up, further than that. Declan,
Can I just jump in there?
Yeah, of
and
course.
Just for people like myself who are not technical, when all that stuff would be learned on the job, and the technical aspect of it.
Yeah, so we'd have people from many technical backgrounds. We'd have people from the aircraft industry, electricians, mechanics, military. They'd have all joined. They'd have brought certain skills. The job of a service technician is quite exciting because it covers, once it's inside the door, as you can see, there's a lot of training and GWO training to get certified and medicals to be done to get into the turbine. So training the teams and the technicians to do all aspects of the turbine is what people tend to go. We would still have specialists that would maybe focus on blade repairs or heavy lifting and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, whether it's electrical, mechanical, hydraulic, the technician gets to work on it all. And there's a great variety in that.
And they never would go out on their own and be sent to it. It would be
it's a minimum.
It's always a team going out, and you'd always have a mentor with you in the early days. And
in the early days, so we have wind turbines, so it's fairly restricted. With health and safety is very high in this industry, and so the technician would normally start off. Any new technician into the industry would start off as the third person. There's a minimum requirement of 2 people when you're working at heights, because it's rescue by the team themselves. The emergency services won't be climbing up to assist us in the event. So all our technicians are highly trained to the best standards with this GWO certification. So we carry out our own rescue. to bring in a new person into the industry. They'd start as the third person and to learn and get used to procedures and all our rescue equipment that we use and all that. And then they would work their way up to a competent technician, which would be the second person in the job that would assist, and eventually a work party leader, which would be the authorized technician under wind turbine safety rules, and they would carry out all the general safety. They would establish that. They would perform the isolations and stuff. And then on top of that, we could have specialists for heavy lifting, slinger banksmen, and plus crane companies, working in hand with crane companies and stuff like that. So
thanks, Wayne.
Thanks, Wayne. Declan.
Hi, Lady. How are you? Jeanette?
Hi, Declan.
Yeah, man, Wayne. We've not met. I was interested in what you said. First wind farm was in 1999. I think there were 42s or 47s down in Cork, down below Dunmanway. Could be in Kingston. Could be his wind farm. But yes, interesting to get historical perspective on it. So for everyone concerned, first thing I'd say, there's no such thing as a stupid question. The worst question is the one you didn't ask. This will follow you through your training, and when you go out into the field for your internship. Now, just to introduce myself, my name is Declan Corrigan. I'm one of the directors of Wind Turbine Engineering. We are an ISP, an independent service provider. The bulk of our work would be major correctives. It would be up tower exchanges of gearboxes, bearings, so on and so forth. Do a lot of heavier repairs up tower, welding and bolt exchanges, and then we do some general servicing. I start off life while I was from a farm background, a degree in agriculture, and then went to London and started driving cranes in 1987, came home in 92, and worked with a crane company in Dublin. Then I started working with Windhoist in the year 2000. I was there for 17 years. I was a technical manager. So we would have installed a lot of Vestas machines, Siemens, Nordex, GE, Gamesa, so on and so forth. Yeah, what I would say, Vestas would have been the pioneer of wind turbines, along with others like Nordex. These companies began their life in Denmark. Denmark was a very big hub for wind. To give you an idea of the scale of growth, we had mentioned this earlier. In late 2004, Siemens bought a Danish family-owned company called Bonus Turbines. So Bonus, the good quality machine. At the time they bought Bonus, there were 800 people in the company, and 5 years later, there were 8,000 people in Siemens wind power. So most OEMs, own equipment manufacturers, people like Vestas and so on, this is the scale of growth that was seen, certainly in that period anyway. And in the same period in Windhoist, we went from 3 installation crews to about 10. So the scale of growth, especially in Britain, but to a lesser extent in Ireland, the scale of growth was incredible. What I would say, just to give you my thoughts in terms of this business, what's good is in Ireland is that that public opinion has turned much more so in favour of wind energy. I mean, I used to meet people from Vestas, Siemens, and so on, meet them in Denmark and Germany, and they used to laugh at us in Ireland. We're the finest wind resource on the planet, us on the west coast of Scotland. Good constant winds. We don't get typhoons, cyclones, hurricanes, anything like that. What in other jurisdictions. So yeah, good wind resource. Everyone talked about not wanting a wind turbine in the backyard, and nobody talked about energy security. I remember having this argument at a couple of different venues, my local GA club being one. And I said, why does nobody want to worry about energy security? And now it's front and center now. We've seen how our dependence on imported fossil fuels, gas, oil, whatever it is, how it's impacted us. However bad it is here, it's much worse in the UK. I mean, our housing stock, I mean, whatever wind energy is doing for Ireland, it's dealing with our electricity needs, but our transport and our housing stock is a equally important an issue. There's no country in Europe that heats as much of its housing stock with kerosene. In Britain, it's gas. That's why the British public have been very heavily impacted from gas prices. But anyway, so traditionally what you've seen in the wind industry is, as Wayne said, the OEM, the manufacturer, will come in and install the turbines, and they'd sign up an FSA, a full service agreement contract. It could be for 5 years, 10 years, 15 years. As Wayne said, sometimes now they're going for, especially when the asset owners are investing in companies, it's going for the lifetime of the turbine. That said, just to give you an idea, there are a lot of older assets that are being self-managed by asset owners like SSE, Scottish Power, RWE, all these developers. So they would have their own in-house teams who I mean, like Wayne said, the principal role of a wind turbine technician, whether they work for an asset owner or for an OEM like Vestas, is to make sure the machine keeps running. Part of the service agreement, the crane has to be an availability factor of 98-99%. So when there's a fault in the machine, you have to dispatch a technician straight away to reset the fault and return the machine to service. Whether that's an OEM or an asset owner, that's the principal role. So then you've got planned and preventative maintenance programs that, you know, it's the same for all wind turbines. There are certain maintenance programs. So to progress to the level of authorized technician, yeah, as Wayne said, you've got to work yourself up to a CT, competent technician, get to know the systems in the tower. You probably work with a logbook to build up your competency, demonstrate your competency, go through the build up your knowledge of the wind turbine safety rules. So where you reach a point where you can sit in front of a panel and be approved then as an authorized technician. In terms of opportunities, I remember the operations director for Siemens in Ireland. His name is Stephen Gallagher. Stephen's from Letterkenny. I remember Stephen putting on a harness and going up a tower. The guy who was the CEO, Robert O'Brien, Robert left Siemens there a couple of months ago. I remember Robert on the tools. So there are no barriers to how you can progress in this industry, and I'm sure Wayne will tell you this as well. Only the barriers you set for yourself. So the GWO training that you go through, it's a globally recognized training module. That can bring you all over the world. So there's nothing complex about the training, but you have to remember that the trainers in any centre will be watching your behaviour. You know, are you switched on? Are you interested in what you're doing? Because it will report back, whether it's to the person who's paid for the training, be it Skillnet or to Vestas or to us. So this is your chance to showcase yourself to a potential employer, but it will begin with the training modules. Be attentive, be keen. You know, look, it's no different for the likes of us or Wayne there. When you come on to do your probation period on site, they don't expect you to know anything about turbines, but they expect you to be keen, interested, and switched on. Okay, so. And I mean, you can ask a person a question once, maybe ask him twice. If you ask him the third time, either have them written it down. We give all our guys a small notebook to carry with them. Or you don't mind, one thing we don't like seeing is someone taking out the phone. You know, you can't live on your phone on a site. I don't mind someone taking out a phone if they're dealing with a problem, they take a photograph of it, say, yeah, I got to remember that for next time. That sort of stuff. So I say the probation period is a chance for you to sell yourself. Okay, so I mean, I started off as a crane driver. I'm now part owner of an ISP, and we've taken I think in total we've taken 11 or 12 people from the program.
A lot of people. Yeah, a lot of people.
Yes, it's worked well for us. It has. We took only two women who came through it, and as Letty said, one of them, she's Tanya O'Reilly. She reminds me of my second girl. She's a little pixie, tiny, lovely little girl. But by God, she's some woman to work. And she leads our bolt crew now, drilling out and tapping blade bolts and extracting. She leads that crew now. So there's certainly no job that a woman can't do on a wind farm. Certainly not. There are a lot of mechanical aids. You're carrying around torque pumps and stuff like that, but there's enough of lifting devices to bring them to the point of work and so on. So, as I said, the industry, whatever risks are perceived in the industry, it is a high risk business, but it's very, very well managed and very strong health and safety interfaces. Wayne mentioned aircraft technicians. Aircraft technicians have perfect transferable skills from their business to becoming an AT. Got a hold punch, stop punch, lockout, tag out, all that stuff there. Because the electrical systems are closed systems, so you got to interrogate them or lock them out, to form certain scopes of work. But there's nothing complex in it once you build up your experience to lead you on your career path. So yeah.
Thank you, Declan.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you. And you also, as Jeanette mentioned, you helped create this program, but also you deliver one of the modules, the turbine awareness training. You've been doing that, and you'll be delivering it for this round as well. And
that's correct. Yeah.
Yeah, and like you mentioned, you took on a lot of people from the program. So the first one was, Jeanette, if I remember correctly, early 2021, the first program that ran, right?
Early 2021, that's
Yeah,
correct. Yeah. We started developing it the year before, and
so how Declan, just to kind of give an idea of, because you took people from that group, and it's been about 2 years now. How are they getting on? They would have started from the very beginning. How have they progressed?
Yeah, that's been good. Now, 3 of them have left. Sorry, 4 have left. Only 1 left the industry altogether. One of them went offshore. Another guy, he got a job as a service technician on a wind farm 2 miles from his house. So what's not to like? And then I'm trying to think where the other person went. So that's good retention. We've retained about 60-70% of themselves in-house here. I suppose we're in a fortunate position. Bulk of our work is major components. So when you bring a new start onto site, Wayne will tell you with a major component exchange, there's as much activity on the ground as there is in the tower. So you can first 2 or 3 jobs, they can stay on the ground and watch how if you're exchanging a gearbox, you may have to transfer over components, brake disc, calipers, oil pumping station. So they're seeing how the tools are used, or if you're splitting a drivetrain, changing blade bearings. The thing about major ops, major correctives, if you lift a gearbox or a drivetrain out of a nacelle, I went through, we got all our people together at Christmas, and I showed them a picture of a GE 1.5 nacelle with the drivetrain going, and there were open fall zones all through the machine. So you have to be very careful when you're up there. It seems like a bit of a bland statement, but as a business partner Ocean says, you have to be switched on. Okay, that's the important thing. And whatever your actions are, you affect others, because you're always partner up. There's always a buddy system. You have to get a dispensation to work alone on a wind farm, but it's very rare. So yeah, but they've all progressed. As I said, Tanya, for example, is leading our bolt crew. She's changing blade bolts at this minute up on Drogheda Wind Farm in Limerick. She's got 2 guys with her. She's got an authorized one of our ATs with her, and very competent. The others are all part of NC teams, you know. So they're all progressing very, very well. What I would say, a lot of them that we have are young, and I know the sort of person Wayne is looking for, you know, in terms of skill, would be different from us to an extent. But we've tried to take on young people, 19, 20, 21, and by the time they're 24, you've got a really good, well-trained young technician, because the first thing we're telling everyone is you could be away for 3 weeks or a month at a time, and that's always been a problem in the industry. You know, that's a hard sell. But having said that, it's I'm in a long time. It's a great business to be in. No matter how big it's got, you're still meeting the same people all the time. You know, people you've seen for the last 10, 15 years, 20 years. So yeah, all our candidates have progressed well. You know, there's and gone away up the pay scale as well. You know.
That's fantastic to hear.
Mm-hmm.
Very good. And Wayne, you showed the map earlier of all the wind farms that you're working on, the Vestas are working on. Where do you see the biggest growth over the next couple of years in Ireland?
Biggest growth is definitely going to be the Midlands. Yeah, there's I suppose even the companies like Bornemona are going away from peat and power stations and going to utilize that land for renewable energy. So there's going to be massive growth in the industry just in the Midlands alone. Plus turbines and technology have got better, so we don't need the high wind speeds we used to need years ago to turn these turbines. They can produce power in very low wind. I think it's worth saying as well for a technician or for any person getting into the industry, it's an extremely professional wind industry that's backed up by documentation and procedures for everything. We don't send anyone to a turbine to guess what they're doing. There's a procedure to back that up. Bolts are torqued to particular settings. All that documentation is there. So when people are going working in the turbines, they always have documentation to reference back to and fit. So there's no one going to a turbine and trying to work out how to do stuff. Everything we do has been done before. We do trials at the beginning on new platforms, and we create a documentation and record that. We then have to share that if it's a main component replacement with the likes of the crane companies and all that, so everyone is aligned. So it's no, people are not left to their own devices on how to service a turbine, or there's very robust documentation and schedules there to be followed. So background and having people coming in from other industries is good, but the one thing about what will surpass anything is being eager and enthusiastic will surpass anything in this. Yeah. We had someone that we applied from a different industry, came from iRigs, and he came into the industry. Probably only started up a turbine. He started at the end of October, and he was 3 or 4 weeks doing his safety climbing and getting all these certs and his medicals and all that. He's ready now. I spoke to him yesterday evening. I had an interview with him. He's ready to be put forward to be an AT, and he's going to probably lead some of our 3-month and 12-month service in the next 2 or 3 months, his own team. And it's just because he got into it from day one. He learned off every team. He looked to be moved on particular jobs that were just to get experience. And all these companies, whether it's Declan or whether it's Vestas, if they see someone wanting to learn, they'll give them the facilities to learn that information, because we get it back tenfold. Then that means we have 3 teams instead of 2 teams, or 4 teams instead of 2 teams. So people being eager and enthusiastic will trump anything.
There's another thing to realize. No, well said, Wayne. There's nothing to realize. We have 2 types of power generation in this country. Well, you've got solar as well. You've got wind energy and you've got thermal power. Thermal power is inside a controlled atmosphere in a secure building. You can wind turbine generators now onshore up to 5 megawatt, and well, they have to go to very exposed sites. But there's no machine that works power in the field as a wind turbine does, running constantly under changing loads, big torque loads. So if anything happens to wind turbine, say you have a lightning strike, this happens. You could have mechanical failure. It's all over social media. Now, So the naysayers would say, oh, wind turbines are dangerous and the wind industry is dangerous. I was involved in a lot of civil engineering work and construction work with cranes. The platform that we built up to manage lifting operations on wind farm sites, when you tried to put that on the conventional construction, it didn't work because nobody cared. Nobody cared. No, there were far too many. I mean, I see stuff going on in construction. We all see it around, and it's just a free-for-all, and it would not happen in wind and would not be tolerated. And it's not that your supervisors wouldn't tolerate it. The people who work in it wouldn't tolerate it, the ordinary people. And this is where we've got to, as you said, we're in a very professional business, well run. And, you know, if you have the right character for this, there's plenty of room for advancement. You know.
Yeah, and it's very few examples of where in the wind industry, the HSA had to come in and step in and put in rules or regulations to make this safe. It's completely driven by the people working in the industry because they're the professionals. If they see something that's needed to be addressed, we're all on working groups and we share information for what's good for the industry. There's no holding back on that, and whatever is safe, we try to bring it in as a standard and bring it in across the board. So it's by far one of the most professional industries you could work in. And the safest, I would say. Look, we're working at heights. Everyone talks about working at heights, but like any technician that's been on the training, they'd probably feel safer up a turbine than they would on the ground. Well, most of our calls of lads getting injured or getting injured at home or on a soccer match or a hurling match the weekend. They very rarely get injured at work.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah, so I see there's been a few questions in the chat there. When does the next training course start and how many places are there on each? The next one will start on the 17th of April. And we are still accepting applications for it. There is approximately 10 places on each course. So this is the first round that we are running it this year. Last year we ran it 3-4 times, I believe, 3 or 4 times. But yeah, it's on the 17th of April. So if you are interested in applying, do send your applications in by Friday. And after completing the 4 weeks training, will there be much traveling involved between farms, or will it be on a particular farm? So that depends on what company you're going to be doing your work placement with. Generally they'll put you on just the one farm, if I'm not mistaken. Declan?
Well, I know from our perspective, you could be around a number of wind farms, but we'd always provide transport, whether a vehicle for yourself or a shared vehicle, and accommodation.
Okay. But in general, there is, there's quite a bit of traveling involved in the industry as a technician. Normally it's about 2 weeks on, or it differs between companies. What would that be for Vestas, Wayne?
For Vestas, it's we'd have a breakdown team on the weekend, and most of our technicians would work Monday to Friday from a service base. The travel after that from the base would be part of their working day and returning to the base in the evening, or we do have to stay remotely for some of our farms that are that far away from the base, and again, accommodation and transport will be provided.
Yeah. And what would that be for WTE, Declan, generally?
Yeah, I mean, we'd probably be covering some of the UK as well. But as I say, transport will be provided, accommodation, single occupancy accommodation. You won't be expected to share with anyone. We use mostly hotels because a lot of our work is short duration, and for a major component exchange, we're getting about 3 days notice. So, this is what the younger people like about what we do. You know, we hire in the cranes, all the plant with all our own tooling. So they're getting exposed to cranes, plant machinery, and the systems in the turbine, but a short duration, so moving on from one job to another. installation is different. There's also a market out there for installation, but you could be on the site for 15 months at a time, maybe up to 6 months. So that is another option. But for what we're discussing here, certainly in the operational field, we try and keep people in Ireland as much as possible.
Wayne, I believe you're looking for people in specific locations, Midlands.
So the Midlands
from this cohort.
Yeah, so at the moment we have vacancies that we're trying to fill in Offaly, which is that new service hub we're going to open in Edenderry in July, and Thurles. And probably later in the year we'll have growth in Donegal and Limavady.
Yeah, so they would be static. You know what I mean? Yeah. If you were working in Edenderry, you'd be working in Edenderry. So
yeah, you'd be based at Edenderry, and we've a lot of wind farms there in that location that will be in an hour from the base. So our teams will travel there. As I say, we have a few wind farms. Even for our wind farms that are remote, what we try and do is have a service campaign, send a team down, maybe 2 teams or 3 teams down for a week, put them in a hotel, get the servicing done, and get back to site.
So, there's both options. There's an option to travel, which some people might really like, or, there are wind farms where you can be, if you're lucky enough to live near one, where you can. So there are both options there.
Our technical training and stuff, which would be further down the line, would be some of it would be in the UK. We do our training in Ireland, but we have some technical training we do in the UK and more technical training on platform specific troubleshooting and stuff like that in Denmark.
Brilliant. Thanks, Wayne.
There's another one there. Will offshore turbines require separate training than was provided in this course? Yes. It would require additional modules. These are the main modules that you do need to become a wind turbine technician, but the additional modules, they can be done at a later stage as well once the offshore wind turbines are there to be worked on.
And someone on the shore, service technician onshore would be very desirable for anyone employing for offshore, because it's only the safety training that changed. The technical training and the turbines are still the same, and the procedures we use, a lot of them, they might vary, just slightly different documents, but it's the same basic standards. So definitely that's onshore can be transferred to offshore with a few extra safety courses and survival training and stuff like that.
And if I'm not mistaken, that's sort of what the plan is for down the line once offshore is there, for the onshore people to sort of transition once they've gained the experience and they have the skills to transition to the offshore. But of course, there will be additional people being trained on offshore as well.
Offshore is normally done on a shift basis, whether it be 2 weeks out and then come back for whatever 11 or 12 days. We'd see in the industry, especially in the UK, where there's a lot of offshore, that we'd have people that would go out for a year or 2 to get the experience, and then they'd end up inevitably coming back on shore or moving back. So you have that. There's those we learn. It's exciting working offshore as well. So, and people transfer over and back as well regularly. So.
I mean, every person who's involved in the wind sector has seen a lot of transition. The minute people moving from onshore to offshore, moving from OEM to asset owner. So there's a good bit of flux at the minute. When offshore kicks off here, I mean, the recruiting ground is going to be onshore. It's going to make it tough for everyone involved in offshore and onshore, to manage that. So it's important that we tool up now for it, But yeah, it's the employees market now. If you're willing to get into this and stick at it, there's a big future at it. Definitely is.
It's definitely worth saying. You probably won't be at the same thing this Monday as you will be next Monday. So the variety is massive, and and some of that is because the amount of varied work it is, but also it's because of weather. So we focus the likes of blade repairs and obviously whatever proactive main components work we could plan during the summer. But then, as Declan said earlier on, and for Vestas, we have a lot of availability contracts. So if they fail during the winter, we just have to get it done during the winter at the first weather opportunity. But yeah, no, there's a massive variant of work for anyone.
Thanks both. There's a question: is Wexford the only training centre used, and how many weeks will be spent there? For this program, it is going to be only the training centre in Wexford. There will be 3 weeks, approximately 3 weeks in Wexford. But there are quite a few other training centres where they do provide this type of training as well. It's just there is a process, a bidding process, and for this round it will be in Wexford. Does an applicant have to have a technical mechanical background to be considered? A technical mechanical electrical background is highly desirable, of course, but we do have people who have come through other backgrounds, and they've been excelling. Like Declan, you were mentioning Tanya, she has a mining background, as far as I remember, and she is doing absolutely fantastic in the industry.
Yeah, well, it's a good asset because I mean, a lot of the interfaces in a turbine are you've got two principal interfaces, mechanical and electrical. A lot of electrical is, for the most part, is closed, but the mechanical interfaces, you've got both tightening and torquing, and you've got percentage checks and so on. So it's always, well, it's a help if you know, especially for younger people, if you're used to having spanners in your hand, you know, it is a bonus, you know. But as we said earlier, if you're keen and willing to learn and you want to get on, it'll not hinder you. You know, you'll soon pick it up.
I see a lot of questions. I'm not sure if we're going to be able to get to all of them. Can the course be done if you're in full-time employment? Unfortunately, no. This program is only available to people who are not currently in employment. That is one of the eligibility criteria to receive the funding. And there was a question on stamp 1 or stamp 4. So basically you have to be a resident in Ireland to be eligible for this program funded by Skillnet Ireland. You must be an EEA citizen or have a stamp 4 visa, and you must be unemployed at the time of starting the program. Those are the main criteria to be eligible to participate. There was something about salary. What kind of salary would a technician be on? I think it differs, if I'm correct, it differs depending on the level. If you're starting out, obviously you'd start out on a slightly lower, like, entrant salary, and then as you progress, as it is with every other job, as you progress, it gets it increases. But and I would say every company would have a different salary. Benchmark usually is, if I'm not mistaken, around 14 euro per hour or something like that.
Well, it varies. In installation, if you're new starting installation, just a mechanical crew, it could be slightly less than that starting off. But I mean, any of the people we've taken on, you know, their narrative is that they just stay on the DUP or stay on social welfare payments for the duration of their probation. We opted out of that. We start them on, I think it's 14 euros an hour, you know, and then we're more comfortable doing that. and then we'd review their pay scale after 3 months. And any of those that have stayed with us and have shown aptitude have climbed the ranks very quickly.
I don't think we're going to be able to get to all of these questions, but I'm going to put them all in a Word document and
I have
write down
answered,
the answers.
I've answered a good few of them there,
Yeah,
Letty, as
thanks,
we were going
Jeanette.
through.
Yeah, thanks for that. I saw that. But I think just so everybody has the answers to it, I will be putting them in a Word document, provide the answers, and we'll send them on to you all in an email. Just if there is anything specific for maybe one of you. I think I saw something about Vestas.
Investors case, would you, investors case, would you need to live near one of the company's bases?
No, we have people that are traveling service technicians. They'd be assigned a base, but yeah, if there's a wind farm, we use a common sense approach that if someone is living near a wind farm, closer than they are to the service base, they would go there.
Sure.
Most days.
Brilliant.
Look, it's worth saying that this is a great opportunity for getting into the industry and giving yourself something better on your CV. So when you are applying for jobs, but the wind industry is growing massively at the moment. If people think they have something to offer, start applying and invest in their own career, because this is only going to grow massively. So.
Thanks, Wayne.
Yeah,
And,
great Wayne.
And I lost the question there, but I saw something about, do you have to pay to do this course? No, the course is funded by Skillnet Ireland, so the training is completely paid by them. But you do need to meet the eligibility criteria for that. And I will send, when I do answer these questions in the email, I will send a link to the eligibility criteria as well. And when will we know if we're accepted? You should hear from me by the start of next week.
That's to set up the interviews, is it,
Yes,
Letty?
yes,
Yeah.
there will be interviews in next week, a bit later in the week next week. At the moment, it's between Wednesday and Thursday, and potentially the week after as well. And the program, as I mentioned, commences on the 17th of April. And if you are interested in applying, if you're thinking about applying, do get that application in by the end of this week. So thank you to the speakers. Thank you so much for joining us. It was very informative. I learned quite a bit myself in there as well. And I hope everybody else enjoyed the session and got all the information that they wanted out of it. I know we were not able to get through all the questions, but I will put them in an email and send that email on to you with the answers and eligibility criteria. Thank you so much for your time, and this concludes the session, unless anybody else has anything to say.
No, best luck to the candidates.
Best of luck to anybody applying.
Yeah, okay.
Great,
Perfect.
great.
Thank you,
sector to
everybody.
get
Thanks,
into.
everyone.
Thanks, guys. Bye-bye.
Thanks a lot. Bye.